fireworks. Not like a lot, but a little bit.
A little bit of fireworks. I'm honestly surprised I haven't heard any yet. I'm really nervous because they've been going hard with fireworks in my neighborhood, and I haven't heard any yet today. So worried when the sun sets it'll be. But anyway, welcome everyone to Star Wars Geek Girl.
Oh, okay.
You literally started talking as I was like hitting the record button and it was loading, and I was like, oh gosh.
Well, warning for if you hear fireworks, it's July 3rd.
Yeah,
Hard.
It's 8:00 at July 3rd, so if we hear fireworks in the background, honestly, the fireworks probably won't be as loud in the microphone. It'll be me like screaming because they scare the crap out of me. That's what you're gonna hear.
Yeah, I don't like them. They're too loud. That's why when we go to Disney and stuff, my parents or like whoever I'm with are like, "Oh, let's go see fireworks," and I'm like, I can see them from over here. I don't like being up close to them.
I don't usually have too much of a problem with fireworks, but they're like very loud in my neighborhood. It's kind of funny because sometimes like the firework goes off and there's just like 10 minutes of like car alarms for a while that you can hear.
Do you don't have a lot of fireworks in like Pennsylvania, in your neighborhoods?
I mean, sometimes, but not nearly as many as I've had here.
Yeah.
Like it's literally pretty much just holidays. Where here it's like, especially like recently since like May, it's like it seems like every other day like they start setting up fireworks. So yeah. Anyway, everyone, welcome to Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm gonna play the intro, and then we have some Star Wars to talk about.
Firework intro.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Yes, Star Wars. So before we get into the obvious, most recent Star Wars, I do a few like just general updates about the podcast and stuff. So I had to get a new email service because the old one was like, we're changing our terms of service, and now if you have more than 100 subscribers, you need to pay money, and I'm not paying them monies because it was a lot of monies. So I found a new one. That's great. I do not need to pay monies. So that's why emails look different if you're on that little subscription. And if you're not, you can go to the website and sign up for it. And that was the other thing. So if you want to get an update for all the new blog articles, you can do that still on the blog page. But if you want to get a newsletter, because this new feature, new email service also lets me have like different groups and stuff. And if you want to get the monthly newsletter, but not the every single blog update, that's also an option on the homepage of the website. So that's the new thing. And then also we have a new monthly poll this month. We're voting for our favorite, or which Acolyte squad we are. So you could be Jackie Jam, Yord Horde, Soul Patrol, wherever you fall. You can represent that in our poll. So
sick.
So yes.
Where's the stranger?
That's Kimir Pierce.
Heard. So I think I'm
There's Mace Bays is on there. OSHA violations. They're on there too. I got the Pit Party. Of course, gotta represent the Pit Party. Basil. I don't have one for Basil. I couldn't think of one. I haven't seen anyone like repping Basil.
Basil Pesto. Pesto Basil.
But yeah, so that's the thing. And then then we can talk about the newest episode of The Acolyte, which is episode 6, Teach/Corrupt. So what are your general spoiler-free thoughts?
Spoiler-free. As usual. Very, very good. These episodes have just, like, each one has just, like, kind of caught me by surprise. Even the ones where I was like, it's totally Kimir. Like, in my head. Not out loud, because I don't want to be wrong. If it wasn't him. So, like, they still surprise me, which is, like, I don't know. I like that. It's very cool. I like being surprised. Like I also, well, okay, I take that back. I really like spoilers and knowing things, but then if someone just randomly surprises me, that's like even better. So I really like this episode because it was just like very like I like talking about different, like, just everyone's different beliefs, and I like that. I hope that's not a spoiler. I don't think so. But what about you?
Yeah, I also really enjoyed this episode. I feel like I was really uncomfortable for like half of the episode.
Oh, well,
But it was really interesting to see like the different points of view. And it wasn't as nearly as an action packed episode as the previous one was. But a lot of important like character work being done that I really enjoyed here.
mhm.
And yeah, that's what I got.
Sick. Think spoiler.
Yes, spoiler. What are
What
your
part made you uncomfortable?
everything with Kimir? I don't trust him one bit. He's so gross and manipulative. And I love he's a
Yeah,
fascinating character. He's so interesting. But the whole time I'm like,
I
it's like
love it.
he's
It's
so
so
he
awful.
really reminds me of Palpatine talking to Anakin. That is what it was. Here, like it's so like, finding these insecurities and these things you can use on her to manipulate her
Yeah.
and like really to twist her. And it's so sad to watch. It's so interesting to watch, but it's so sad to watch because from day one, Osha has been such. We've seen in the show since episode one, she's been such a kind and compassionate character, but she's also very curious and she has a very strong sense of justice that teeters into revenge. And I think that's what's going to ultimately be her undoing here, which is so sad because I love her so much. I don't want her to fall to the dark side, but it does make for very good TV.
Yeah. I love how he does that. Like, it's so
And
gross.
it's
It's
scary
so
to watch because she's so vulnerable right now.
yeah.
And he's preying on that, and it's like it's so interesting, and it makes him such a cool character, but it's so creepy and uncomfortable to watch.
Okay, but also why why was he naked?
That's what I'm saying. Like, sir, put your clothes on. Listen, I know that was very exciting for a lot of people, and like you do you, but I was like, just put your clothes on. What is wrong with you?
I mean,
Stop, sir.
I don't see why it's like I don't want to say anything, but he has Riz in the most manipulative way possible. It's so funny. But yeah, when he was like strolling on the beach and I was like, "Sir, I want like your aesthetic. I don't know what your aesthetic is besides like minus the manipulative part. But like the aesthetic of like his hair, like how he like his hair, his clothes are super cool and like
Mm-hmm.
he's just strolling on the beach. He's just
Yeah.
like I don't want to say he's chill, but and I don't want to say he's at peace, but he has like that kind of
No,
like vibe, I
no,
guess. I don't. What is
minus
it?
minus the whole like murdering people and like Sith
Right, but this
messed up
is
stuff. Like this is like a great life. You just have your little cave. You have a ship. You can go places if you want. You make your soup. But then that's also part of a. It's so interesting because we don't know what he was like as the master to May up until episode 5 when they were at odds. But it's so interesting because he has this little persona he puts on with May that is so different than the persona he's putting on with Osha, and part of that is because he's kind of already been revealed, so that's a big part of that, I think. But also, it's just like it's so interesting, and it's like because he can tell this is what Osha's going to fall for more than the Khmer shtick.
yeah,
Because it's all because we know he's someone that can play a character, and I think that's what he's doing here. Not that he's being fake necessarily, but there's clearly a manipulative aspect to it where he's putting on a show to kind of get her to get her guard down here, and it's like it's scary. It's a great villain. It's
yeah.
scary,
I think it's super
you
cute.
know. And he's like he's like he's letting her think he's answering her questions when you actually pay attention. He's not stating much at all. Like he says something very vague. Osha makes an assumption, usually jumping to the worst possible case scenario, and he just doesn't say anything. He lets it sit. Could that mean she gets it right? Maybe. Or could that mean it's not as bad as what Osha's thinking? But again, he's just kind of letting her. He's letting her like fears kind of work for him, and like letting her kind of fill in the gaps in a way that benefits him. And it's so he's also like almost like love bombing her, like the beginning of an abusive relationship. He's like,
oh yeah, that was
okay. Do all this, and it's so like, it's so scary and it's so good.
I feel like you feel like this too, but I really hope that there's nothing romantic here.
I hope. Here's the thing. I see where people are coming from with that. And I see it, like I could see the show going that avenue. I just don't think the show is gonna be like, yeah, they're a romantic couple. This is a good thing. Like if the show goes that avenue, I can't imagine the show being like, this is good for both of these characters, especially for Osha. Like this is good for them. Like it's not at all.
Yeah.
I hope it's not that way. But I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I hope not. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the angle they take. But it is, like I said, this was so like Palpatine and Anakin to me, except now Anakin is a troubled young woman and Palpatine's this hot guy. Like that's literally
for real. This is a
Um,
much better situation.
I don't know if it is, but it is really fascinating.
I'd rather be rizzed by this guy than Palpatine, okay? I'm just saying.
That's fair. Except I wouldn't say Palpatine. Okay, there was more Riz in this. Palpatine was not rizzing up Anakin. Palpatine was playing the like nice old man routine, not the Riz.
Are you sure?
Maybe I need to watch those movies again. But I didn't think Palpatine was rizzing Anakin up. Maybe is that a thing? Is there an Anakin Palpatine shipping community? Is that
probably.
a thing? I'm sure there is.
I could look it up right now, but I really don't want to corrupt my computer with that.
It's always like the fear, because like we have all these algorithms now on these things where it's like, you know, now your computer knows what you like, you know, and then they can recommend you things you like, and that's, you know, usually great. But then it's like you look up something out of a morbid curiosity and it's like, oh, you want more of this? Or like you look up something as like a joke to show someone, it's like, oh, you want the Jar Jar fan fiction. You want the Jar
buy
Jar
this.
not safe for work fan art.
Forever.
And it's like, no, I didn't want that. I just wanted to look at it one time. Please,
I like having really random videos on my TikTok, and I like look at the comments, and every time it's like, I built this FYP brick by brick.
I'm on Gnome Talk right now. I love Gnome Talk. Like every 3 videos is Gnome Talk, and I'm trying to get you and Safi both on Gnome Talk. I love Gnome Talk. It's so silly. I love this is not Star Wars. I mean, it could be Star Wars, but I love
I'm
when
on
like the internet
shrimp shows.
No, I'm Gnome Talk. But I love when the internet like commits to a bit. It's just a whole bunch of random people, and they're like, "This is our little thing now, and we're all going with this." Like doubloons was the same thing. I'm just like, Google it. I miss doubloons. That was an era.
Yeah.
Anyway, Star Wars. Yeah. Also, I loved Osha's little outfit. Like,
yeah.
Do you think that was Maze, or do you think like Kamir, like on his way to whatever this planet is, he's like, let me stop at the Target and get something.
It was probably Maze, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know if that's May's style. I guess we've only seen May in like one outfit. I guess I can't really say what her style is too much. And it's like she has one outfit. And
I mean, it's like a comfy style.
Outfit. Yeah. It's May loungewear. But yeah, Osha and Kamir, fascinating relationship, but also like really scary. And my hope, because I love Osha as a character, and like I said, she's so kind and so loving, and so I don't want her to fall to the dark side from that angle, but I'm also like, this would be so interesting if she falls to the dark side. So that's my dilemma with her.
Yeah.
It is also interesting. She said, because he was like, because we've been wondering kind of like what made her leave the Jedi. She said she failed. And so I wonder if that's like, did she like literally fail her trials, or was it more of a like, I feel like I was failing to fit in with the Jedi or whatever it is. Like I wonder if it was like a literal failure or like a more figurative failure. Oh, there's the fireworks. Just a couple small ones. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, it's really fascinating whatever's going on with her career. We only have 2 episodes to see where this goes. And then the other thing going on was with May and Soul. So it's like May and Osha Parent Trap, which is great.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting too. Because May was not doing a very good job of pretending to be Osha.
Yeah, she was like just I don't. Well, that's the thing is she doesn't even know how to be Osha. She hasn't been
she doesn't.
been with her
They haven't
sister in
seen
so
each other
long.
since like 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but she's standing there like glaring at Soul, and she's like, "I hated being a Jedi," and Soul's like, "Okay, I haven't heard you say this before. I'm sorry." And he's like, and she's just glaring at him, but Soul's so messed up. Everything that happened.
Do you think he really couldn't figure it out?
I think early in the episode, I think he genuinely did not know, but I think like probably halfway through is when he starts to piece it together, and he's like, okay. And then she when she's calling for the Jedi, he's like, all right, we're gonna do this now. And it's so interesting, right? Because I feel like it was so purposeful. It was cut off at "my name is" when he stunned her. And not that I think Soul did that on purpose. I think the show did that on purpose. Was she about to say May or Osha? Like, what was she going to say? Because even though we still don't really know exactly what her angle is, it seems like she's trying to kill Soul again. But remember, like, just 2 episodes ago, she was like, I'm turning myself into the Jedi. So was she turning herself into the Jedi as May? Or was she pretending to be Osha still? That's what's super interesting to me.
Yeah, I guess like she responded as Osha, but that doesn't really mean like I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she was.
Also,
I guess maybe she was still debating.
I did really like the scene with Basil and Pip.
They were real.
Basil and Pip, real ones for throwing hands immediately. Like, seriously, that's what we need. We need little guys that throw hands. That's what Star Wars really needs. R2, Chopper, little guy, you gotta throw hands. That's what it is. But it was so silly. It was also like because May, not that there hasn't been any comedy with May throughout the show, like especially early on. I think she definitely has some more comedic scenes with Gamir. But she's also a character where like we don't see her in the comedic scenes as much. Like Osha, that was always more Osha was getting those parts.
Yeah.
So like seeing May, who's usually the like darker, more serious twin, like just getting sprayed and like slapped by a tiny little guy, so funny.
Yeah.
I loved it. Was like it made her. I already loved her, but it made her so much more endearing to me.
I think she was having a rough time.
She wasn't even like mad, like, oh, I'm gonna stab these guys. She was just like, come on. Like, she was just annoyed. It was so funny. But she did reset Pip, and if that's not fixable,
well,
we will be having problems.
He's just a little evil right now. Got the red eyes.
Yeah, he's like when 3PO starts speaking Sith in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's Pip right now. So interesting. And yeah, that whole dynamic's really interesting because it's like I don't know when exactly Soul figures it out, but it was definitely earlier than the show wants us to believe. But Soul was also so good. Oh my god, Lee Jung Jae's performance in this episode. Like there's that shot that just hangs on him, just his face. Like a
Bro
really
is
long
broken.
Time. And it's his whole face, no dialogue, just his whole face journey. Lee Jung Jae takes us on for Master Soul, and it's brilliant. Top tier performance from him. I mean, this whole show he has, but this especially, and it's interesting, to see him breaking down. Leslie Headland gave a really interesting interview where she says, "Well, it's not true of all Jedi. For Soul, he hasn't achieved the peace he thinks he has. Like he thinks he's found peace, but he's really just been repressing. He hasn't actually found the balance that the Jedi are searching for. So, like which it works most of the time, but when he's under the stress, it's harder for him to handle that versus a Jedi who's found balance.
God, they must have done something so. They're like, what did they do?
That's what I'm
Like
saying.
I'm so. I need it. Like,
Well, and that's the
literally,
thing
dude didn't
too.
even want to like go to the council. He killed himself. The other girl, like that shit.
Yeah,
I
and
don't.
Dara was like kind of fine. She's just like hanging
Yeah.
out getting some noodles.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, that's what's really interesting too, because I will say, okay, so the end of the episode, Soul is definitely like he's kind of creepy. When May wakes up and she's like chained to that, which people are like, how dare he put her in restraint? It's like, well, she is trying to kill him.
Yeah.
So like
a
that's
few
fair.
times too.
Yeah, like I'll give him that. I'm not gonna give him too much flack for that. But it is a little intimidating and scary the way he's like kind of being like, I've had 16 years to think about this. But it's also like after 6 episodes of not a single person in the show speaking plainly, frankly, except for Yord and Jackie. Like every single other person is so vague about everything all the time.
Yeah.
And so like finally having a character being like, we're just gonna talk this out right now is like so appreciated. Like, thank you, Soul. Finally. We just need to get this out here. But it's really interesting to see, like in the beginning of the show, Osha seemed like the straightforward twin. May seemed like the one shrouded in the secrecy and lies, and then now we're in a position where like May is with Soul, and May and Soul, maybe not May, but she kind of has to. But May and Soul are ready to lay out the truth, right, and to just talk about this and to get this all behind them. Basically,
yeah.
Soul said he's ready to face the council. He needs to face consequences. Like Soul is ready to do what he needs to do to make things right, to let the truth out. Versus you have Kamir and Osha, who are being, especially Kamir, being so like cagey and vague about everything, and not telling all these half truths and lies, and like not ready to face the truth. And Kamir is he's such a little weasel. Like he's so anti consequences. But like he's a great character. I love this character. But it's like anytime he's like, oh, you did this. He's like, well, if you really think about it, it wasn't my fault. Like I had to stab that teenage girl because she was there. Like it's not my fault she was there, so I had to stab her. Like he's like anytime there's any avenue for him to accept any personal responsibility, he's like, well, you see, it wasn't actually my fault. It's so Kylo Ren of him. Like Kylo Ren's like, Luke pulled a lightsaber on me. It's like, okay, you did a Star Wars like mass shooting, so
No,
what do you
this
mean?
was before. I don't know.
Right, but he's like, Rey's like, you killed the Jedi. And he's like, well, Luke put a lightsaber on me first. I'm like, okay. And it's so Kylo Ren of him. It's great. Also, Kylo Ren's theme has been playing in this show. And what is that about? That's so, like what?
I'm gonna be real, I never noticed, but I'm sure.
I thought I noticed it in the 5th episode, but I was like, I guess there's only so many scary melodies you can make up, right? It's like not that like Kylo Ren's theme is pretty short and sweet. It's like maybe I'm just and then I didn't watch it all the way through, but people are like, at the end of the credits, Kylo Ren's theme is playing again, episode 6. What does this mean? So very interesting. But yeah, so I assume next episode maybe we'll get the kind of the truth about Brendock laid out, whatever happened, and then we'll see kind of the fallout of everything in episode 8. That would be my guess. But I don't know. Not looking good for the Soul Patrol. Well, I will say I am ready to forgive a lot.
Okay.
Depending on how it plays out. Like, I don't know.
Forgive,
like, I don't think it's gonna be black and white. Like I don't think the answer is the Jedi were wrong or the witches were wrong. Like, I think there's blame
it's never black and white.
And I'm willing to hear everyone out, see everyone's side, but it is not looking good for Master Soul, which is a shame because I love him so much. But like, what did you do?
Bro's going psycho crazy.
Yeah. But it'll be so interesting, like, after he has this talk with May, where they lay all this out, what's his plan? Like, he says he wants to face the council. Is May coming with him? Because, like, she also kind of has to face the council. Like, are they gonna go back for OSHA? Like, what are
I
they
mean, it seems like they're
doing?
going back for OSHA.
Yeah. Well, and like, cause May might know how to get to his planet. Because remember the end of was it the end of the second episode or end of the first episode?
I think the
Where
first.
I think it was the first, where it seemed like she was meeting him there. Remember, he's like in the helmet, and he like ignites the lightsaber. So
Yeah.
May would know that he might be there and would know how to get there. So that's really interesting. Also, my Pookie Vernestra was here. She had her light whip out.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know because you guys said a whip, and I was thinking like it just kind of like stayed a whip, but like I didn't know that she could like it kind of went back to being a saber, but she could just kind of whip it. That's kind of cool.
she can switch, so she can make it just a saber. She can make it a whip. Like I think I don't know, it's like a little dial or whatever she has, but she can like choose if it's gonna be a saber or whip when she takes it out.
That's cool.
But yeah, and it was released in the trivia gallery today that her ship is called the Kentaros, which is the last name of her first Padawan. His name is Ibri. He's so good. I love him.
Are they dead or?
Well, yeah, it was 100 years ago, and he's human.
Oh, dang.
He also stuff happened. This is so cute. But it's very interesting. Her arc, because her main priority seems to be hiding stuff from the council. Like, that's the other thing. Council right now, like there are Jedi keeping things from the council, which on one hand is like, okay, so the council isn't really at fault for what's going on this time, but then it's also like, is this a good idea to be hiding these things from the council? And so we have Ernestra, and her main goal seems to be protecting the Jedi politically, which is interesting because Stellan Gios, who's her master, was kind of the same way when it came to, politics. Like, he didn't really want that tied to the Jedi at all. So it seems like there are some people who are trying to like get very involved in Jedi business, and Ernestra doesn't want that. So like, her main thing is like, we got to hide this from the council, because the council feel obligated to be open about it, and then that could make the Jedi look bad. It's her main thing. So
why is his name Mog?
Apparently he is named after one of the crew members.
Why is your name Mog?
I don't know. I think their name was probably Mog before it was a meme.
Why? It's not allowed. No, but I don't like his hair. His hair is funky.
He does have some unfortunate hair.
Yeah.
But yes, she and Mog go to the scene of the crime over on Kofar. And that was, I will say, brilliantly done cut. Absolutely emotionally devastating to see Jackie.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy.
But also brilliantly done, because we're going from like Kimir being like, I'm just a little soft boy, just a little sad boy, and then it cuts to like, oh yeah, he did that. So brilliantly done there. But
poor Yord. I don't think he's alive.
Here's what happens, okay?
So he fell asleep, or
so Vernestra and Mog leave, and then all the Jedi get up, and they're like, we got him so good, guys. And then they go over to kill Nakas, and he makes some soup, and that's what happens.
Got it. Better soup than Kimir's.
Yes, but way better soup. Kalnaka uses all the Wookiee seasonings. He's got everything. Kimir's soup looked a little bland, I'm not gonna lie. Not to rag on his
cabbage soup,
but
which I never, not that I've had a bad cabbage soup, but
I feel like Wookiees can make some like good, like sweet and spicy kind of things. I feel like that's the Wookiee vibe.
Jerky.
Yeah.
I feel like good jerky.
Very smoky.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well, what's really interesting is Mog is like, do you think Soul could have done this? Because like
Yeah, I was like,
they don't
oh.
know there's a freaking Sith, and then Vernestra is like, that's a bold accusation, but she doesn't say, of course Soul didn't do that.
Yeah, I noticed that and I was like, oh.
And
So
so it's
it's
like,
almost like she didn't want to say it out loud herself.
right, yeah, no, I don't think Vernestra is like, can't believe Soul did that, but it's interesting the way it was worded, where it's like,
She can't not believe
yeah.
it.
Well, because that's the thing. Because remember, even in Phantom Menace, the Jedi. So Kiadi Mundi, who was in 2 episodes ago, was like,
Man, they
"We
need to
haven't
get
seen
Kiadi
it."
Mundi out of here. He's been wrong every freaking time,
But this
dude.
guy's like, he's like, he's just like, "We haven't seen a Sith in a millennium," like, and that's true. Like, when you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras. So like, of course Vernestra's going to see this and be like, oh my gosh, did Soul do this? Like, Soul isn't here. There's no body for Soul, and there's no body for the two twins that he is have a attachment to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did Soul go crazy? And then it's also like, does Vernestra know what happened on Brendock? And does that make her think that Soul would be capable of this, And we know she would be wrong about that, but it's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's like getting crazy on all fronts.
So it's really interesting. If my Pookie Bernestra dies in this show, I will be deeply upset.
I
But
don't know if they would. Well, I can't say anything, but I feel like they
I didn't
wouldn't.
think they were gonna kill like Jackie and Ewart, so I can't. But
Yeah, but they're
she's
not in
my
like
she's my little favorite book.
stories.
She's my little book thief. My favorite High Republic. She's just my little Pookie.
Yeah.
But so yeah, she's playing a really interesting role in all this. And then, but the other thing is like when she and Maul get there, because they go because Soul said distress signal. I don't know if we said that, but they go, and then right before they get there, Soul, kind of he figures out that it's not Osha, that it's May, and he turns off the signal and leaves. And I think he did that. I think people are assuming some malintent from Soul there. I don't think whatever he did on Brendock, I don't think he wants to hurt May right now. I've seen no indication of that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
But I do think he wanted to be like, like, hey, other Jedi are gonna kind of want to take you in because you did kill a couple Jedi. So I want to get some uninterrupted time with you to make sure that I can explain this and we can talk about this. So like, I think that was Soul's reasoning, but it's like that could backfire on him
Yeah.
majorly.
So you're a little creepy right now. Chill. Just a
Well, that, but
little
also
bit.
like, because like again, the Jedi in the prequels, they don't think they've seen a Sith in 1,000 years, at least. So I don't want to be the like everyone has to die because we do that game with every new show. But it is like, how's this gonna go for Soul? Like that he doesn't get to come back and tell people about this crazy Sith guy that messed him all up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that Chimera's, I guess, technically a Sith. We don't know that, but there's all these gray areas with it. But you know what I mean? It's a possibility. I'm not saying anything concrete. So, trying to think of what else about the episode. That's about it. That's all I have, I think.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. I don't know. I'm very interested to see the whole Khmer and OSHA thing. I think a
Yeah,
little
and
more. Like, obviously, I want to know more about like May and Soul explaining himself totally. But I'm also like, oh my god, like, is OSHA really gonna like? No way, dude. But then I'm like, maybe. I'm really bad at making decisions.
yeah, no, I'm so interested in both the past and the future that this show has yet to tell us. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so interesting. And like I said, part of me is like, please, Osha, please come back to the light. Like, you're such a good person. You don't have to be a Jedi, but you don't have to do this either. Then the other part of me is like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So it's a tough dilemma.
Sure is.
But I think that's all I have to say about this episode. Like I said, not as much action, but just a lot of slow character work, which is really fun to watch. Very much, even I would say sometimes even more fun to talk about. So I'm very excited to see. Got 2 more episodes. Like I said, I think the next episode will be more about a lot of truths coming out, and the last episode will be more of the fallout. But we'll see. If you get some truths coming out in the last episode too, who knows?
We shall see.
Very interesting stuff. All right. So, you guys know the drill. Go to starsgeekgirl.com. We got the poll there. We got blog articles. I just finished Rise of the Red Blade. I got a review up there.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When do you want a podcast about it?
Oh gosh, I don't know. We can podcast. Maybe we'll save it for after Acolyte, so that we have something. We'll be okay. We can podcast sooner, but we'll release it after Acolyte, so we have something to
enough.
cover the downtime.
Well, let me. I'll reread it and then
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me reread it.
Reread it. Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Did
great
you
book.
like it? You liked
Oh,
it?
great book. Another great example of how like manipulative the dark side is, for sure. Like with Iscat, it's not even like a person, kind of like one person who like brings her in, sort of like with Kamir. It's like she, there's all these factors to it, and she kind of almost like just becomes manipulated by like nature and by what's going on around. It's so fascinating. Love a good exploration of the dark side.
Yippee.
Very, very cool book. But yeah, my review, if you want to read my thoughts before we podcast about it, for you and for everyone else, that's on the website there. Pretty fun. And we have other stuff. I'm going to try to post a regular blog article, not a book review every Friday. We'll see. Actually, I should probably write that tonight or finish writing it. There's that. And you can go on Twitter and Instagram at SW Geek Girl, and you get updates and all that stuff if you don't want to sign up for the blog email thingy majiggy. I will say this sometimes. My dad does helmet giveaways, and then if you're signed up for the blog, you're already entered. So
Sick.
Just saying, you want to do it. But then also Facebook page is Star Wars Geek Girl. For me personally, I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Spectre_5. I don't post there as much because video and photo content stresses me out, and I'm like, I feel like I need to have something really good to post, and then I like take too long to make everything. But I'm on Twitter as at Zoeka because I can just type some stuff on my phone, send it out to the void, and people can look at it if they want. So I'm a little bit more active on there just because it's just words, and I can just kind of vomit words, as you can tell because I'm on this podcast. Yapping.
Yippee.
So yeah, that's where to follow all the things.
For the Rouge Rebels, we just did a Rogue Rebels episode. If you want to hear us trash talk people that trash talk us, that's definitely the episode for you. It was pretty fun. Got the roguerebels.com, Instagram and TikTok at the Rogue Rebels, Twitch at Rogue Rebels, podcast wherever you're listening to the Star Wars Geek Girls, Facebook page the Rogue Rebels, Twitter at Rogue Rebels Fam, and I am back at doing the animation again. I stopped, but now like the trend is dying once again, so I have to post it as soon as possible. And hopefully I'll have it done tonight because and then I could post tomorrow. And then like I'm barely like the trend is like barely dead, you know? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah.
Perfection. All right. I did want to say, because I just thought of something when I was looking at our notes. I also want to say, this is really interesting, right? Because all these episodes for the Acolyte have had like these like split titles, with the exception of Day, Night, and Justice, or Destiny. But it's like the first episode, Lost Found. Second episode, Revenge, Justice. And what's interesting to me is that usually the first word seems in this first 2 episodes to apply more to May, right? May is the one that's lost and they're looking for her. And then the second one, May, is the one looking for revenge. Where in the first episode, then, found applies to Osha because the Jedi found her when they're looking for May. And then justice seems to apply to her because she's the one claiming that she's looking for justice for May. And then in this episode, the title is Teach Corrupt, which teach is applying to May here, if we're following this pattern, and corrupt is applying to Osha. So, very interesting.
Sick.
I just thought of that because I saw the notes and I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that, and then I forgot because I was talking about how uncomfortable Kamir is. I felt
That's
like
fair.
Jackie. I felt like Jackie. Put your clothes on. So,
It's
Jackie,
okay.
you're so real.
can
Icon from
focus.
the grave. I was just like, put that on. It's so uncomfortable. Like, stop.
I was
Yeah.
like, wait, why butt naked? Like,
That's what I'm
like
saying.
I don't know how people do it. No. That part, yeah, and like put on some underwear. But look at those arms. What the heck, dude?
He can be sleeveless. Just like put a shirt on, sir.
Yeah. I was just like, Jesus. Where are the leg days?
No legs, only arms.
Only
Only
arms.
lifting the corpses of his enemies.
Yes, not kicking them.
No, just lifting. All right. So thank you guys, everyone, so much for following and listening to Star Wars Geek Girl. You can follow us and look at all our stuff on all those different social medias and the websites. And thank you once again. I was Zoe.
I was Lizzy.
May the force be with you, and goodbye.